Hello, how y'all doing out there? I want to make this video for you real quick. First, I'd like to say rest in peace and condolences to all the families that lost any loved ones during this pandemic, during the virus outbreak. Also, the people that lost their lives during this ritual that was performed by Travis Scott this past weekend. Also, everyone that loses their lives daily to the nonsensical street violence and BS that goes on. Now, the reason I'm bringing you this video today is because there's something afoot here that may not be as obvious to some as it seems to me at this moment. There's a classic case of if I scratch your back, then you must scratch mine. And it's playing out in front of all of us. And we are the unwilling, unknowing victims of such horrendous plotting and planning and scheming against our own kind. So, seeing that this has been put in our face for so long, now it is time to get it understood. Without further ado, so, if you remember the Steele dossier that started during the first campaign that Trump tried to put together to win the presidency, which he did, that particular campaign was smeared with talks of Russian collusion and all of these deals and backdoor type of, plans that he had with Russia. Turns out that wasn't true. Turns out it wasn't true at all. In fact, this past week, Igor Danchenko was indicted by the FBI for lying during their investigation of the Steele dossier. So yes, if you get a chance, look up the Steele dossier. So, with their plot to stop Trump from getting elected in shambles, they then went to try to get him impeached with the same plot. It also did not work at all. So now, with a weak presidential candidate and a laughable vice presidential candidate facing Trump, they had to go to a more sinister plan, a more foolproof plan, a larger plot, a larger lie they would have to tell. So, they needed help with this lie. They needed a lot of help. So they called on Dr. Fauci and China for help. What are you talking about? You might say. Well, where did the coronavirus start from? China. Who funded the Wuhan lab to create the virus? Dr. Fauci. Through the NIH and the Eco Health Alliance, he funneled money secretly, never thinking that he would be caught. And then, when the feces hit the fan, of course, when the emails started to come out here recently, or well, I wouldn't say recently so much within the last year. However, a lot of evidence started to pile up, and he even took down the words gain of function off of the NIH website and changed the definition, discovered by Senator Rand Paul, who has been grilling him on this non-stop. So, China made the most money during the pandemic because they made all the PPE that people were using to protect themselves from the virus, which still spread and still harmed a lot of people, killing many. They did not care as long as they could win the election and continue their agenda and continue to destroy this country from the inside out. And it's playing out right in front of our eyes. As you can see, we have what they call a lot of crisis. Now, when people are getting killed in the streets every day, they don't call those crises. But when the supply chain is backed up, that's a crisis. When you have thousands and thousands of people crossing the border, that's a crisis. Oh, but when these black people, mainly black people, are getting killed every day in their own neighborhoods, some innocent bystanders, some sleeping in their bed, oh no, that's no crisis. That's another reason to take the guns away. Another thing that you may not have noticed is that they started to call shootings where multiple people were shot or multiple people were killed in the past. They didn't call them mass shootings, but now, because of the guns that are used in these shootings, they are now called mass shootings. They're grouping it all together. You see, a mass shooting used to be where there was a public place, like say, I don't know, an airport, a bus station, a nightclub, something like that. And there were multiple people killed, and most of the time, the gunman ended up being killed by the police or killed himself. Now, these situations that they're calling mass shootings are going on in neighborhoods, regular neighborhoods. No gunman shooting himself at the end. No gunman being killed by the police. However, they're still called mass shootings. But back to the topic at hand. I just wanted y'all to pay attention to that as well, because it's been in our face. So let's get it understood. So you say, why does it matter that Dr. Fauci lied about funding the Wuhan lab to do gain of function research to create the virus? Why does that matter? Why does it matter that he tried to change the definition of gain of function on the website? Why does that matter? Because if you think about it now, that the acting president I'm not going to say the sitting president or the standing president because he is an acting president. He is a puppet. He is being controlled. He is being told what to do. But nevertheless, I'm not here to get too political, even though I have made a lot of political statements. I just want you to pay attention to what happened. So, unemployment was on the rise. In fact, it was out of control during the pandemic. Then it went down some. And then they stopped the unemployment benefits, which was probably a good thing, more than likely, because it got people to go back to work and hopefully get the economy going back in the right direction and allow the country to flourish once again. But what they added in there with people going back to work is now we're going to mandate a vaccine for you to work. Oh, it's not funny, but I just have to laugh sometimes because most people don't see that. When the virus broke out, it broke out at a very opportune time for people that wanted a change of leadership. It broke out during the time that most people that are trying to campaign for a position, they are out and about. So now we can't have crowds. We can't campaign the way that we would normally do. And then we also use the confusion, the chaos, and the death to go ahead and change the rules of how the election was performed, and the voting, and the counting of the votes, etc., etc., etc. This turned out to be a great advantage for one of the candidates who is now acting as the President of the United States. So, since Dr. Fauci in China did you such a huge favor in helping you get elected, you had to keep up your end of the bargain and mandate the vaccine. You see, if I scratch your back, you must scratch mine. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day or night or whatever. Goodbye.